Yard maintenance tools can be frustrating. Today we'll look at a new generation of tools that will make yard care rewarding and fun.
It's a home invasion of the six-legged kind, termites, and we'll show you what you can do to stop them dead in their tracks. Is there a room in the house that has the blahs? Today we see how easy it is to do a DIY window treatment makeover for a breath of fresh air. The results will amaze. What causes over $5 billion in property damage a year? Fire? Floods? Your home could become part of this frightening statistic right now, and you don't even know it. Designing Spaces wants you to be aware. Take a look.
One phrase that strikes fear and dread in the hearts of any homeowner is, "You've got termites." The good news? You can do something to never have to hear those words. Whether you have an active termite infestation in your home or just want to prevent them, you need a thorough inspection by a professional. Pest management companies have individuals who are specially trained to conduct a thorough and proper inspection.
Generally, if a homeowner is seeing signs of termites in their home, it usually indicates they've been there for a while and the damage could be extensive.
A proper inspection involves looking for signs of termites both on the exterior and interior of the home. That would include attics and crawl spaces. And not only is the inspector looking for signs of termite activity, but he's also looking for conditions that would support termite activity. We call these conducive conditions. Examples of these would be structural timbers in direct contact with the ground, plumbing issues, roof leaks, even irrigation hitting the side of a home.
A professional inspector can usually spot termite activity early on, and when caught early, a proper treatment can eliminate the problem before much damage is done. Where do termites come from?
Well, termites are very successful insects. They've been around for over 250 million years. And if you look at subterranean termites and you try to say, well, what is a colony like? It's not what you think. They're actually a nomadic, herd-like, spread out under the ground, looking for any source of cellulose they can find. And in the natural environment, that would be a tree limb fallen or a stump. We build our houses in their way, and they move right into our houses looking for cellulose. So once they find that wood source, they leave a pheromone trail. This attracts other workers, and then you've got an infestation. Now, subterranean termites need moisture, and they bring the moisture from the soil to their food source in the house. And that movement back and forth from the soil is where we take advantage of them with our soil termiticides like Termitor HE. It's another reason why when we have an inspection of a house, we're not only looking for signs of termite activity, but we're also looking for moisture problems. Because if there's some moisture problems in the house, like a leaky plumbing in a wall void or a roof leak, they don't have to go back to ground to get their moisture. And now they can stay away from the treatment. And we call that an aerial colony or an above ground colony.
When a colony matures, it can produce swarmers called alates, which are male and female winged reproductive termites seeking a spot to form a new colony. When swarms occur within a home, it usually indicates an infestation is there.
Well, first, mature colonies of termites and some species of ants produce these swarmers. They're reproductives just trying to spread their colonies. When this occurs, you'll see them laying everywhere. A lot of them are dead, so it's easy to tell the difference. There's three main ways. First, look at their body. If there's a constriction at the waist, then that's going to be an ant swarmer. And if it's not, if it's more sausage-like, that'll be a termite swarmer. Next, take a look at their wings. Both have two pairs of wings. If both pairs are the same length, then that'll be a termite swarmer. If they are different lengths, that'll be an ant swarmer. And finally, look at the antennae. Termites have little beaded straight antennae, where ants have this elbowed segmented antennae.
If a house has been given a clean bill of health by an inspector, homeowners can then take the proper steps to prevent any future termite invasion. Bob takes us to a home where he can point out preventative measures.
Well, luckily the home is termite free, but how can we keep it that way? We've talked about three options. We've got the liquid treatment that's done to the perimeter of the home. We've got the baiting option, or we have a combination of the two. Let's talk in more detail about the Termitor HE liquid treatment that goes to the perimeter of the home. Now, Termitor HE liquid termiticide is unique. It is different from conventional termiticides in that it takes half the water to apply it. And in addition, Termitor HE also has the Perimeter Plus option. This is an option where sometimes people want to go to the interior of the home, not just the perimeter, but interior areas that are vulnerable for termites as well. Those can be treated with the plus portion of that option. These treatments are generally made below the slab in areas like bath traps or plumbing entry areas, out of the way where they have any exposure to the occupants. Another Traylona ATBS option is called direct baiting. With this option, when the station is installed, we put the bait in first, and that's the special cellulose food source for termites that already has the slow-acting toxin in it. So this is a preferred option when there's already obvious activity either on the structure or around the structure, say as in landscape timbers. Another option is a system called Traylona ATBS Home Monitoring. This option is for homeowners who don't have termites in their home but are not ready to make a decision on having a liquid or bait treatment, but they still want to be aware if termites are around the perimeter of their home. So this works very similarly to the first option, and technicians monitor those stations for activity. That's where the monitoring comes in. So when he does find activity, the homeowner is notified, and at that point they can reevaluate their options for termite prevention.
With Termitor HE liquid treatment and the BASF advanced termite baiting and monitoring systems, the homeowner not only has individual preventative options, but even various combinations of the three.
Now, to learn more about Termitor HE, termites, preventive treatments, you can go to our website at termitorhome.com.
And to see this portion of the show again, visit designingspaces.tv, where you'll also find a link to termitorhome.com as well. Feeling secure in your home, knowing your family is safe, that you're prepared and have taken the right measures to get that peace of mind. They're our concerns too. We have the tips and info you need to make your home and living spaces better than ever. We are Designing Spaces.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show or to find out how to be part of the show, log on to designingspaces.tv. You can visit these websites to learn more about the participants on this edition of Designing Spaces.